All right. Welcome to the 10th episode of Warrior Week, Parables from the Pit. My guest today is Andy Carter. What's up, Andy?
What's happening, brother?
Andy is a graduate of Warrior Week 29?
28.
28. You sure it's not 9?
100%. Oh, trust me, I remember.
All right, 28 graduates of doing. How many guys you had at 28? You're a bunch of guys there, man.
Big group. Yeah, there was. Was there 30 of us?
Yeah,
plus,
dude, that was a
34. I think
that was the biggest group that we had, and it was done outside. We did it at this place where you had the camp outside.
Yep.
Dude, that was a big one.
And I think like 90% of us stood up and like all came through. And it was
Yeah,
just like, oh, shit.
that was great, man.
Yeah.
Great. Yeah, that was a big Warrior Week. So hey, man, thanks for being in the studio. Today's conversation is going to be once again a visit inside of the pit, this dark place that most men don't want to take a look at, but yet we all have this place inside of us. This is a place where it's not comfortable. Like, it's absolutely not fucking comfortable to be exposed to the current reality of our lives. The pit doesn't fucking go away. The pit is always there. The depth and the width of it depends on how often you fucking visit it. But the reality is the pit doesn't go away, and pit is the darkness. And inside of the darkness, the light carries a hope and possibility outside of the pit. And Warrior Week is an experience where men, entrepreneurs, successful entrepreneurs such as Andy, and we'll get to know Andy in a second, come inside, number one, to allow himself to be exposed inside of the current reality of life. And that is to knock at the door of the pit, go inside of the pit, and once they feel the pain inside of the pit, allow that pain to give them a power that makes them see a path and a possibility of becoming a better version of themselves. Often this happens by becoming a better husband and a better father. And as a result of it, business grows. And as a result of it, you lead. There's a lot of guys, Andy, especially in your world and what you do nowadays. Dude, there's a lot of guys, you see it every day, right? There's a lot of motivation talks. There's a lot of guys running conferences. And there's a lot of people in the business of telling people that they can do it. You know what I mean? It's a conversation of you can do it. I mean, I was just over the Instagram and Facebook and just going and browsing through a number of people that actually live on this, right? Which is, I'm in the business of telling you can do it. And although I don't see anything wrong with that at all, that's a choice. What I do see wrong with, it's the people that want to simply be told what they want to hear. People are not going to follow guys that are going to tell them the reality of what is, because it's just too fucking painful. It's like, fuck this guy. I don't want to hear this guy. He may be saying the truth. I don't want to follow this guy. I don't want to hear this guy because it's painful what he's talking about. It's painful when I look at myself and I have to face the reality. But the guy that tell me you can do it, I kind of want to hear that. Because that's not painful. How much of this do you see, and what do you see inside of this conversation that I'm opening right now?
Well, it's just the truth. Like, it's really hard for people to see the fucking truth. Like, it's hard for them to look at it. At the same time, they can't not look at it. It's like a moth to light. It's one of the things that's all through this space is everybody's a fucking coach, right? Everybody's a coach. Everybody's doing this. But one of the biggest things that I've seen over and over and over again is this level of co-signing. People that co-sign their bullshit. So they're either going to co-sign their, whatever, clients' crap instead of really telling them the truth to get true growth and to really be able to scale and grow as a person. You have to get to the darkest, deepest, fucking nastiest part of who you are. And from that place, the pit, from that truth, that's where all the magic happens. That's where you can actually grow. Somebody telling you all the time that you're a great marketer when you're shit does nothing for you.
It's true. We're going to do this lips on the mic. Mm-hmm. That's what I had to do on the first podcast. I was right here, mm-hmm. and I was told that I have to have my lips on the podcast. So, and so did I follow the fucking instructions.
Yes.
And I'm going to come back to exactly what you talked about here, which is this idea of co-signing, right? And you're absolutely right about this topic where fucking people co-sign on bullshit. They co-sign on a reality that doesn't fucking exist. They co-sign on comfort zone. They co-sign on something that doesn't hurt. They co-sign on something that is avoiding collisions. Most people naturally avoid collisions so that they can find the comfort zone. And there's going to be a lot of people that are going to take advantage of the people that want to avoid collisions. The so-called people that are waiting for a hand to actually take their hand. They're waiting for a cosigner. And the cosigner comes in, like Andy says, and says, okay, you can do it. Dude, I don't know how many fucking times I just fucking hear, oh, you got to do the fucking work. If you don't do the work, then, you're not going to make it. Success is about grinding every morning, every night. Grind. Are you grinding? Are you fucking grinding, motherfucker? Welcome to the grind.
This is true.
And I mean, it's beautiful words. Don't get me wrong. It's fucking awesome.
There's no fucking action, though.
But what the fuck?
Yeah.
Like, you're sitting at home in your hot tub and with a sandwich in your hand, and you're fucking listening to this shit. You're like, yeah, what are you gonna do?
Like, there's so many people, their entire focus is the motivation part. I fucking hate the motivation part. Like, that's great and that's awesome, and I love to help people in that sense, but motivation without massive execution is literally just a waste, and it has such a short shelf life. I mean, I get motivated as hell, but if I don't put an action plan together 30, 60, 90 right away, it's not going to do anything. It's going to lose its luster, and I'm going to be less motivated even hours later.
So let's talk about Andy, the Andy of almost a year and a half ago, right?
Yeah, 2 years ago. So,
shit, 2 years?
Yeah. Well, shit, it's been over 2 years now.
Holy balls. All right, so 2 years it is. We're week 28. Andy comes in. Let's talk about that guy.
Yeah, that fucking guy.
Dude, let's talk about that. I remember that fucking guy over the phone. Bro, I remember our phone conversation just like it was yesterday. And I don't remember much. I've told this in this show. I don't remember much, but the conversations I had with you guys, I fucking remember. I remember you calling me from a sunny and cool, breezy afternoon. It was the fucking afternoon. Yep. Calling me from your condo, your house, or whatever the fuck was at that time in Long Beach, and you were painting the image of, an image of a guy, and I'm like, this guy's a fucking hippie. I'm not even sure if this guy has the
yoga, all that shit. Yeah.
Fucking, I own this bar. I'm gonna go to the bar. I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about, man? And you were all over the fucking place,
lost
with just cool conversation, right? So at one point, I'm like, okay, I don't even think this guy is gonna make it. Like, is gonna make, like, financially, is gonna be able to make. I might have, like, it was a fucking hippie talk.
Yeah, I know.
So let's go talk about that guy, and let's link that guy of how much motivation that guy was looking for.
It's so interesting because that time in my life, I was lost, but still not completely lost, but still bored. But I was in this superficial bullshit land. And the problem is a lot of people that were sitting around me, people that were close to me, my friends, they were doing exactly what I was just talking about. They were co-signing on my bullshit. No one was fucking calling me out on my shit because I was at the top of the fucking heap. No one would say, Andy, you're like, this is fucking bullshit. Like, your life right now is literally just a pack of lies. And it took, like, this guy over here to be like, stop, shut the fuck up. Like, what are you really talking about? To kind of even shake me into being somewhat honest on the phone. And I was so ready for change, though. Like, in my soul and deep inside me, I was so ready for change. I said to Sam, I'm like, look, I have the money. It's in my pocket. I'll drive it to your office. I'm pretty sure you guys aren't that far from me. I was dead committed. But I was still just fucking broken and lost. And I'd already watched 1,000 videos on Garrett in the middle of the night, half drunk, hungover. I literally just had my second child and lost.
I remember that, and just to paint the picture, you were a successful entrepreneur in real estate and as well as restaurant and bar business. So you're not some fucking douchebag out of nowhere that was just trying to reach and find the new promise, right? This is a conversation that resonated with you. Here you are, a businessman, a very productive guy, finding yourself in a period of your time where life kind of like numbed you out.
100% numb. And it was the point where like I was literally sleeping on the couch, my wife sleeping in our beautiful master suite in our beautiful huge home that I built, and I'm just like, what the fuck am I doing? Like, I have zero life meaning. I just lost it. It was gone. I didn't know what to do.
And then inside of that, you surround with people. You are surrounded with people that kind of tolerate that, right? And they don't mean harm. They don't mean harm. And you actually don't do anything bad, but you're not the guy that actually, you're not the same fucking guy that built that house.
Nope.
And you look back and you're like, I'm not getting this. Like, if there's a problem in front of me, I'm able to fucking solve it. Because that's who I am as an entrepreneur. If you put me a fucking problem in front of my face, I'll fucking face it. I'm sitting here, I'm looking back, and there's this gap between who I was as a producer inside of my business, inside of my marriage, and here I am, a guy on the couch that is just basically numbed out. Like, the gap that exists in my business and how I operate in my business is the same fucking gap that was in my marriage. Like, I'm not the same guy that married my wife, and she feels it. The kids are feeling it. And so you leap, man, right? And you come to Warrior Week 28, and off we go. Off we go to one of the most intense Warrior Weeks of all time. And in that experience, talk to me about the first night as we took you to the pit and you had to, like, face some shit that you haven't faced for a while. Like, how did that hit Andy?
It was the whole experience because I knew what needed to happen. I knew that I needed a massive fucking shift and shakeup or it was going to get really bad and a lot worse than it already fucking was. But I was just scared. Like, for the first time in a long time, like, I was legit scared. And I remember in my room trying to memorize Invictus, like, before, like, we could even start, just like, what did I get myself into? And then I hadn't been yelled at like that since, like, I was in high school playing football. And it was the exact, like, slap in the face that I needed. But at the same time, like, that fear was making all this stuff bubble up from when, like, I was a kid, of, like, all these fears, all of this just shit that was inside of me that I didn't want to, like, I didn't want to transfer to my children. I didn't want my crap from when I was a kid with my dad and our drama and whatever to translate to my, like, beautiful little boys. So how do I do that? I have to face all my fucking fears. I have to face everything right now. And, like, I get goosebumps all the time when I even tell part of this story, let alone just this part. Like, when you're in the darkness and you're going out to the black ocean with other men and you're all looking for that thing, but that thing is so singular to you. It's so personal. It's so individual to what you're looking for. And what the pit does is it exposes the fuck out of you. It exposes the fuck out of your ego. It exposes the fuck out of who you are and what you really want and where you want to go. And then it hands you this gift, like, so soft. Just like, here it is. Take it. Or don't. But just stop fucking lying. And that was it. I was just like, I don't give a fuck what they throw at me. I don't care if I have to carry this log up the fucking hill and I break both my legs. I'm doing whatever it takes to make sure what I just heard, that gift, never fucking leaves my body.
So you talk about a beautiful experience. And again, I have to emphasize on the word fucking experience. People talk to me and say, hey, Coach Sam, how come you're not, like, putting, like, videos and short podcasts and, like, YouTube videos and all kind of shit? Like, how come you're not putting all that stuff out? Because it's just some good shit there. And my answer is very simple. we are not putting that shit out so we can like Warrior has never been about motivating anyone. Warrior has been about an unknown experience. It's a fucking mystery. That's what it is. So if you follow Warrior, you're going to follow Warrior for a while, and then somehow, somewhere, if it resonates with your heart, you just accept that this is an experience. If you try to figure out what Warrior is, what do they do, and you will never get to it, because what you want to get to is the experience reserved here for you. Inside of that, one of the experiences that we have, the one that you went through and the one that we keep talking about, Warrior Week, exposes a man. So in that exposure, there is 30 to 40 days of conversations that take place. It's not a simple event where you show up in 2 days and you go back home as Happy Panda. That's not what Warrior Week is. Warrior Week is a process. It is a journey. It's not a fucking event. Every man that has come to it knows this. And so I rather spend my time on real conversation. That's why I remember our phone conversation. I remember that. I remember that because that was a real conversation. I remember that because that was real pain. I fucking remember that because that pain got transferred into my heart over the phone. I felt you.
And we got to share that experience forever.
Yes.
Those are real experiences.
And we get to tell the fucking story to our kids and to other people that we come across, right?
That's right.
So that's what I'm committed to do. That's what this movement is committed to do. This movement is committed to have real conversations with real men. As many as it fucking takes. Sometimes it may be a one-on-one conversation, and sometimes it may be in the format of this fucking podcast. That it's actually going out, and hopefully it's fucking knocking at your heart and saying, bro, like, fuck your ego and stop fucking lying. Because in reality, if you would stop lying, who would you be?
It's incredible, I'll tell you that. Once you surrender, like once you give up full control of what's about to happen or what could happen, and you surrender to the process of this, the miracle that just gets revealed. And it's just like you said, it happens at different points for different men that are at different places because we're all fucking different. Like, and it was a beautiful gift for me to go through that experience, to go through just the absolute hell of killing my ego to kind of be reborn into with like a different set of eyes. That was one full experience. And then I got to come back and actually coach for Warrior X, and to watch those men have that experience at different phases of that event deeply affected me and changed me for the rest of my life.
Yeah, I remember that.
Like,
now, what Warrior X was that you came in?
Warrior X 13 maybe?
No, we didn't. We stopped at 10. Probably 6 maybe.
Maybe 6.
6 or, yeah. Who was in that?
There was 13 guys. That's what it was.
Oh, there was 13 guys. You remember one of them?
Yeah. There was the guy Ben, who he actually
Ben Warfield.
He's the guy from the UK.
Oh yeah. Ben, he got married and dude.
I made him promise on the hike he was going to propose 10 days after he got back from Warrior.
Yeah.
He invited me to the wedding.
Yeah, I remember that.
It was fucking crazy, man. Like, so, like,
yeah,
you have these real experience. Like, I still see those guys on Facebook. We still connect, and it's this is not like some bullshit connection I made with some guy at some fucking conference. Like, it's deeply rooted into my DNA.
Yeah, I remember that. And so that's the Warrior X that you came in. And it was a pretty intense. You came in and helped. Prior to that, for you to come to Warrior X, right? You come to Warrior X and you go through this experience. You get the gifts and you go back home and you start building a life now with a pair of eyes that you shut down for many years. Now they're open. They're seeing. You're working your ass off. And this is life. The pit doesn't fucking go away. A year later, you find yourself in a pit. Talk to me about that. Talk to me about, like, what, just like a year after Warrior Week, everybody would say, oh, yeah, your life has changed. Yes. But you find yourself once again in the pit. And what was that pit? And what was the pain inside of that? Because I know exactly what it is. You tell it for the audience.
No, it was very deep, very hard, and ridiculously overwhelming for me. And it was something that I actually wanted to find out when I first came to Warrior Week was, am I going to get divorced? Am I going to stay married? Is this the right partner for me for life? Like, I need to fucking know these things. And 1 full year after Warrior Week, going to all the Empire events, doing the work, I found myself like, fuck, I'm going to get divorced. I'm going to be like one of these dudes. Like there's only, I think, one or two that like actually got divorced.
Okay, so I'm going to pause you here because it's very important what you're talking about.
Okay.
And we're going to continue the story. So you come to Worry Week, brand new set of eyes. You see the world differently. And so when you see differently, you do differently. Your actions are differently in all areas of your life. Your business takes off. Your spirituality takes off. Your body fucking takes off. And the one place that you struggle is at home. Initially, there's some good stuff, but then a year later, despite doing the fucking work, you find yourself struggling at home. And when you came to Worry Week, you really wanted to get the clarity of, hey, do I stay married or not? Is this for me or not? Like, what is it for me? And so you got some clarity. But you put it in play for a year, and you're like, even despite the clarity that I got, it seems that it's just not for me. It seems that I have to take another route. I mean, this is conversations you're having with yourself. That,
absolutely,
like, it's better that I actually co-parent my kids with their mom than actually live with this woman. And so the conversation that you had, the dilemma that you were facing is that, am I willing to live another 40, 50 years with this woman, or do I want to fucking build a life with this woman? And at that time, you came to a conclusion that, well, I don't want to live with this woman for the next 30 years. And I want to build a life. So talk to me about, like, what happened.
Fuck, man, it was really hard. And it was these stories, and we talk a lot about stories, but these stories that I had in my head of, I don't think I can live with this woman to 30 or 40 years, and I literally think it might be better for my children if we live in separate houses and co-parent. I come from a divorced family. My parents got divorced when I was 4. My son Jackson was turning 4 last year. All these things were going through my head, and I was just like, I'm going to do it. I moved out, was living in one of my apartments, and I was driving back to my house every morning, making breakfast for my kids, going to work, and coming back and putting my kids to bed, and then driving across town and staying in my little fucking apartment on an air mattress and crying myself to sleep. And it was fucking hell. I had attorneys, she had attorneys, and we were going to get divorced. That was it.
I remember I called you, man.
Yeah, like a few times.
I called you and I say, hey, what up, Andy? What's up? What's going on, man? It's been a while. And then you dropped the bomb and said, dude, like, it's just happening. And I think at that time you were convinced that, like, literally this is, like, you had no other choice, but this is the path. Any other path, it's self-destruction, both for you and her. And I remember our conversation. I'm like, dude, what the fuck, bro? After all this time, I kick you in your dick. And then you're like, Coach Sam, like, listen up, man. I did the fucking work for a year, but this is the conclusion. I'm not a guy standing here telling you that this did not happen because I didn't do the work. Like, dude, I did the fucking work, and I still end up with the same conclusion. At that time, I'm like, okay, I hear you, man. And so what do you want? And then you're like, I think this is what it is, man. I mean, unless something else happens, I don't know. I remember we hanged up, and it was the unknown. But I felt that it's going to get done in a way that divorce is going to happen. I mean, that's how I felt when I hanged up.
Me too.
It wasn't 100% that, but it was like the hope of this coming back together. Like, I felt that it was like close to fucking zero. Because of the fact that you took the time and explained to me all the work that you've done. I'm like, okay, at this point, like, yeah.
What the fuck? Right.
So what happened from that point?
So from that point, I went into the drift like fucking crazy. And that turned into heavy, heavy drinking. And just, I wanted it to go away. I wanted my decision that I had made to go away. All of the fucking attorneys were involved. And they kept saying, you can't even see your kids without like some kind of supervision because she could say this and she could say that. And it was just this gnarly divorce and thing that was going on. And I went into like a 5-day just drinking bender where I sat in my little apartment feeling sorry for myself and drank a bottle of Jameson every single day and woke up and did the same thing. To the point where like I had the shakes and it was just this, it was fucking awful. In that pit, of just drinking myself silly to numb everything out and sedating like fucking crazy, I got a little visit from the voice, like the voice. And I got clear, and I stopped drinking, and I kept getting more information every single day I didn't drink. And that was, have you ever really been all in with her? And it was the fucking worst and greatest thing to ever happen to me. One, it was the truth. I had to really unwind 4 or 5 years with this woman. I always had fucking one foot out. And it wasn't fair to her because I never really gave us a full shot. I never was 100% in. And once I made that decision that we're not getting divorced, and I called her, and she'd already taken our kids to Florida for 3 weeks without my permission, and I went to the house and they were gone, I was fucking devastated. And I just made a promise. Like, I don't care what we have to do or what I have to do, I'm going to fix this. I'm going to fix this for my kids. I don't want my kids to walk 1 hour in my shoes. The shit I had to deal with my parents when they split. They don't fucking deserve that. They deserve their father. They deserve their parents. They deserve to be raised by 2 incredible people. I fell deeper in love with my wife that day than I ever had. Ever.
So, dude, like I remember your stories with your son. And they stood out because like they're so fucking awesome. Mm-hmm. Like you would fucking just do anything for your son, and that like he's priority fucking number one. Mm-hmm. I specifically remember that cool thing that you had in your backyard.
Yeah, the teepee.
The fucking teepee. I don't know what the fuck it was. You're like, dude, I have a teepee. I'm like, what is a teepee?
Like a legit real teepee,
dude. And then you show me the picture of it. By the way, I need to get that shit, so you need to send me the Amazon link for that.
Dude, they're the best.
Dude, that thing was epic. And when you told me the TP is a place for you and your son to meet, such a fucking awesome story. So to feel that taken away from you for 3 weeks, even.
Dude, it was fucking hell.
And then during those 5 days, just visualizing this whole arrangement bullshit thing, right? I'm going to see my kids 1 week, then I don't see them. Then what the fuck am I going to do for that week? Even if I meet somebody else or whatever, my time is entertained. There's nothing in this world that's going to fulfill that gap for me. Nothing. I've seen it with my own fucking eyes. Nothing.
Zero.
So the pain was not the week that you had them, but the pain was the week that you didn't have them.
It was the loss. I was grieving the loss of them before I even really lost them.
And I want to talk about this because if you're a dad and you're listening to this podcast and you find yourself in a place where Andy has found himself, right? You find yourself in this place where there's dilemma, there's problem in your marriage, and there's some situation and you're considering divorce or your wife is considering divorce. Couple of things. Number one, ask yourself the same question Andy asked himself. Have you ever always been fucking all in this relationship? Let me rephrase it. Have you ever gone to war for your wife? Like, honestly, man, ask yourself the fucking question. Because if you haven't been realistically all in, then what if? What if you would go all in for your wife? What if you would go to war for your wife for the first time? What life could be. Second part of this is that the week that you don't see your kids as a result of a divorce, the week that you don't see your kids, even in a very amicable way, you go apart, you have them for a week, you don't have them for another week. The week that you don't see them, I'm going to have you consider that as a man, you are losing tremendous amount of fucking power. Most of your power leaks away that day. And the following week becomes a week of catch-up. And the man that has lost almost all his power will be the father to those kids for that following week. As good as you may be, you are not all of you, because you've lost most of you the week before. Andy, what do you hear from sis, man? Like, how are you feeling about this description?
I mean, it couldn't be more fucking spot on, Sam. Like, and like just the way that you described it literally transported me back to sitting there on this air mattress that one night at 3 o'clock in the morning popped. And as I sink to the floor, I looked up and I'm like, God, are you kidding me? Like, how much lower do I need to get? But you saying that, like, not being with your kids for a week, that shattered me. Like, my why, my everything and my why are my 2 boys. Now it's my whole family. But I mean, they kept me going. To not be like around them, it even pains me to like right now as I'm sitting here to even think that it was even a fucking possibility.
Dude, and there's a third piece of this. The first piece is ask yourself a question. Have you ever gone to war for your wife? Yes or no? If the answer is no, well, you better fucking give it a chance. The second question is that will you be able to even stand in full power in an arrangement as amicable that may be? And the answer to that is fucking no.
No way.
Because you lose fucking power that week. You can pretend that things are okay, but you've lost power. You're not as powerful as you would have been. Just the facts. If this triggers you, if this bothers you, then fuck you. What do you want me to tell you?
Tough shit.
It's just the reality. And the third piece of this, and the most important fucking piece of all this, is the pain that is caused for that little boy or that little girl sitting in between the chaos and feeling this, hearing this, and being in the middle of this fog of separation. And I'm going to share a fucking story with you guys. And it's my story. I remember when I was 7 or 8. And my parents at that time were fighting. They were fighting a lot. Like, there was fucking a lot of arguments. And my mom has married, obviously my dad, but then my mom's sister married my dad's brother. So it was like 2 sisters that married 2 brothers. Just fucking coincidence. And my aunt and my uncle, they would constantly fight. And when they would fight, my uncle would kind of like influence my dad somehow so that he would fight. And then when they would fight, like the guys would just hang out together. You know what I mean? Like my uncle and my dad would go hang out.
Yep.
And my mom and her sister would hang out. So as I was growing up, me and my cousin were always together, not because we visited each other often. It's because there was so many fights in the house that often we ended up with my mom and my aunt at our house for a period of time. So I kind of like grew up with my cousin as like my brother.
As a brother, right?
Because we've seen each other, like we saw each other so many days in a row. Like they would fight and like my dad would be gone with my mom, with my uncle for like 4 days. They would be living at my uncle's house, and the woman, like my mom and my uncle would be, my aunt would be at our house. Mm-hmm. And as kids, we would play. Like this was the arrangement. Like, but we would hear some shit, right? We would constantly hear, like I can close my eyes and I can still remember the watery eyes of my mom, specifically my aunt, and the fucking mascara that was like just like coming off. And I would play with my cousin, and I would have a glance at this, not understanding, but as a kid, seeing like tears, knowing that there is pain, and then go back to play. And so, of course, this gets fucking registered in my mind. Now that I'm like 41, looking back at this, I'm realizing what the fuck was taking place. Like, I was like a sponge. So either I was sponging joy, or either I was sponging pain.
Fear. Mm-hmm.
And fear of abandonance and what happens, will my dad come back? And so this went on and on to a point where my uncle and my aunt like got very serious in divorcing. And I specifically remember how my dad was just influenced about this as well. And he was kind of like, okay, I got to divorce your mom too, right? He wasn't talking to me about it. But in their conversations, this was being exchanged. And I'm sitting in the middle, and I remember myself just hearing this, and I remember like praying at nights so that they can actually be happy and they don't fight anymore. How many fucking nights did I pray for them to stay together? How many nights did I fucking pray for my dad not to follow the stupid example of my uncle? And so my uncle didn't get divorced. And they lived for 40-something years together. He just got divorced 4 years ago at the age of 68 or whatever the fuck his age is.
Oh, shit.
Because sitting here, I realized tonight my uncle was never fucking all in. And my dad was, because he took a different route. Something happened. I don't know what happened. I'm going to investigate and figure out more about this. But as I'm telling the story now, I know there was a pivoting point where my dad did not follow the steps of my uncle. And that decision by itself, 40 years later, will bring my dad and my mom still together, despite all the challenges, and my uncle separated and not with her. And that woman went through fucking hell. Because that guy was a piece of fucking shit. And inside of that, I look at this and I'm like, holy shit. Holy shit.
And your dad was probably co-signing stuff with your uncle for 4 days. Same thing with your mom and her sister.
True.
Back and forth while you guys were playing, and no real work was getting done until your dad made that fucking decision of like, that's it. I'm going all in. Fuck it.
My dad, whenever he made that decision, that pivoting decision, and the reason why I'm fucking telling you this story is my dad made the same fucking decision that you made. The same decision that you made to turn this all around. So talk to us about that.
I literally went to war. I went to war with myself first because my wife and my kids were in Florida. I had no choice but to go inward. I didn't go to, I literally just like was by myself for 14 straight days. I didn't go to the office. I set everything up where everything was basically on autopilot, and I went inward. And I did a lot of work on myself, and I went all in. And I went to war with the decisions of like what's going to happen. And then the scariest part is like, I've been planning this for a fucking year. Do you know what that conversation is going to be like with my wife? Like, oh, I've moved money around here. This company got moved to this. We sold this asset and moved it over here. Like, that conversation alone was devastating for her. She was like, you were planning this for this long and you were this unhappy? And it was the worst time in my life and the most beautiful all at the same time. The stories that I had in my head go back to when I was a kid, when I was 4 and my parents got divorced. And all those things, like that Sam was just talking about, I could go on for days about my mom throwing me in the car and we go over to one of her boyfriend's house and I sleep in the car. And then like she worked 3 jobs because we were raised super poor. Like I could fucking tell you stories that would make your head spin because my parents got divorced. Because my dad was not willing to go all in. My mom wasn't either. But that's their business. That's their story, and that's their path. I went all in for my kids, first and foremost. I knew I loved my wife enough that I could fix whatever we had, and I also knew I never gave us a fair shot, so sky was kind of the limit for me. And when I went to war for her, with her, everything changed.
And then it's been almost a year ever since that pivoting decision.
Yeah, it was June. So I've been home with my wife. Like, our relationship can always be better, but it is hands down the greatest it's ever been. Like, we're a team for the first time. Like, I was just looking at all kinds of properties for her company yesterday, and we're going to go look at some more to finalize some stuff tomorrow. We're business partners for the first time. We were always pretty good parents together. Now it's crazy. Like, and I almost fucked it all off because of a story. And I almost didn't give us a shot because I was scared.
It's crazy. We have an evolution among many here at Warrior Week, one that requires for a man to constantly be with you. And specifically in the ocean and out to the field and in the ocean over the course of the night. that specific man assigned to you is known as your swim buddy. And this is also a terminology, in fact, used in the Army, and we kind of borrow it from there. But we use it for not fucking replicating the military evolutions, none of that shit. We're linking it to the concept of your swim buddy. Like, who's your swim buddy at home? And it's your wife. And what you're talking about is your wife is your swim buddy, man. She's with you at home, in business, and in your heart. Like, that's the swim buddy. And often we leave a swim buddy behind. And in that specific evolution,
you can't.
It is pretty fucking painful.
It sure is.
But it teaches a lesson to not leave our swim buddy at home. And finding your wife, in finding the man that actually deserves that woman, that gift from God, and being that man today and living this life today fulfilled because of your action and your desires. Like, just how much of that are you pouring into your son? Because before, you were pouring a lot into your son. How much has it changed for your son?
He was just old enough to start to figure out, like, Daddy's not really working at night. Like, that didn't fly for very long. I'd say, look, I have to go to work, honey, and I'm going to be here as soon as you wake up. I have to go to work. But he's a smart kid. And fucking Jackson was starting to be like, you are always home. You have an office at home, but all of a sudden you're working at night now. So he started to figure it out. So I gave all my energy to my kids. I was basically like, fuck my wife. I'm getting divorced. I don't really care. I'm not putting any energy into that. Fuck her. So everything went to the kids. Now that we're a team and we're working together and the kids get to see us, and we still have like spats, but now our children get to see us work it out together in front of them. Like, we don't go in the room and fight. Like, we talk shit out and we work it out like we do with our kids. And I'm just so lucky and so great. My wife's a badass. Like, she really is, on all shapes and forms. And us together is pretty fucking unstoppable. And it's been really cool to watch our kids and my whole unit, like, really bond. I mean, I came from a broken family, and I didn't realize how broken I was because of it. But to see, like, the foundational work that I did here at Warrior and how it's translated into my boys, like, it's gonna, like, the work I did here with Warrior is going to change 3 and 4 and 5 generations of my bloodline. I broke the cycle of my grandfather and father and great-grandfather. I fucking shattered it. It went through a lot of pain. But now my children get to reap the benefits of it because they get a real man at home and a real dad, a real father, and a real example, and a real business leader.
And so many years from now, sitting in your chair in your porch, with your hair just breezing through the wind, and whatever the fuck is left out of it at that time.
Bald as fuck, probably.
Just sitting back, and if someone would say, what is the most proudest moment of your life, right? I have no doubt, no fucking doubt, that you would say, it was the day that I fucking broke the cycle.
100%.
Like, if I can sit back and say, if my purpose was only to break the fucking cycle, amen.
You won.
Because for years, the formula has made us sedate and numb ourselves and accept a version that is absolutely the fucking minimum. And the day when you broke that fucking frame by hard work, not simply by deciding and then talking to your wife and then everything okay. It's hard processing fucking work. People go to therapists and people go to doctors, psychologists, and spend all kind of fucking money to drop the pain. And the problem is, it does not get processed. It does not get processed. It doesn't get processed. There are solutions that are shared. There are paths that are put in front of them. And in many cases, it helps. And that's great. But the pain itself does not get processed there. The pain needs to be processed. In order for the pain to be processed, there needs to be power found on the other side. 100%. No power, the pain remains. The pain is not processed. No balls to process the pain, no power. It's a very simple fucking formula. And inside of a therapy session, this kind of language and this kind of conversation for a man may actually have you a refund or, ask you to get the fuck out of here.
I don't know how many thousands of dollars I wasted in therapy sessions over the years that I literally got to shatter the fuck out of all that stuff in 3 days. And there's these gifts in those dark pits of pain. And once you get those gifts, right on the other side is life-changing power. But I don't give a fuck how many therapists you go to or how many things you go to in seminars, motivational speaker thing, until you physically go through the dark pain and you face your shit and you break. Once you break, you have the ability to rebuild, and there creates more capacity inside of you for growth and expansion. But if you don't physically go through that pain, you'll never get the power. Someone can't tell you about it. You have to physically with your every atom of your body experience it.
And yeah, exactly. And we're not here to tell you about it so you're listening to this and you're somehow going to follow advice. We're going to tell you straightforward, listen, motherfucker, if this is resonating with you, you need to bring your ass to Warrior Week. That's it. You go to warriorweek.com, you watch the fucking documentary, you apply for Warrior Week, and your ass will be on the phone with me to figure out if you're qualified for this game. Period. This is the path. Yes, there's going to be money involved. There's going to be commitment involved. And yes, this is not a fucking pitch. This is not a pitch. We didn't fucking build this show so we can pitch you. We market this somewhere else. We don't market this shit here. I didn't bring fucking Andy here so I can pitch you Warrior Week. I brought Andy here because he wanted to be here. I wanted to be here. You know what time is it? It's fucking 8 at night. Andy's away from his family. I'm away from my family. I'm not sitting at the dinner table right now with my wife and my kids. Andy's not sitting at the dinner table with his wife and his kids. We don't just fucking record this podcast in some fucking convenient time frame of ours in our executive suites so that we can tell you what to do and we can drop in some bombs. That grind, man. Grind. Life is about grinding, man. If you grind, you'll have it all. If you grind, you'll make it. So why don't you fucking grind? And then go back to the fucking lies. We don't do that. And so if you resonate with the blueprint of pain that is being fucking projected here, we are painting the blueprint of fucking pain. And on the other side, there is power that is found. He found power. I found power. There's literally 500 other guys that found power. And the movement is big. We got over 10,000 people inside of this movement. Millions listening to the podcast and watching the videos. Out of all these people, there's only 500 that found the power on the other side. A lot of changes for the other guys. A lot of changes. A lot of pats. But they did not hold the power on the other side. Why? Because it requires you to physically go through that experience. You can't just listen to someone motivate you through this. No matter what we tell you, and if we give you all the details, you will not do this alone. So many have tried and they have failed. You cannot do this alone.
It's impossible. I can speak to that from true experience. I know who my swim buddy was that first day. I'm still very close to him, Michael Munsterman.
Yep.
This is a real brotherhood. This is no joke. This is not some bullshit where you come for the fucking weekend and you guys have a few emails and then maybe we'll connect and do business. Not even close.
You heard it. The experience here is unique. And the pain for every man is unique as well. And the common pain that these men, myself, Andy, and so many other entrepreneurs face is that we fucking operate alone. we operate from the same place that would tell this conversation to go fuck itself. We operate from that place that we can figure this shit out on our own. And so we try. And off we go for so many years. Mm-hmm. And if you are in the middle of thinking this way and in the middle of trying by your own, think about the price that you're paying. Somebody's fucking paying a price. There is a cost for trying this alone.
Everybody's fucking paying. Everybody. I don't give a fuck what you say. You're paying. Your business partners are paying. Your kids are paying. Your body's paying. Everybody's fucking paying for you trying to do it by yourself.
Just talk about your body, where you were.
Oh, fuck, man. I was probably 45 pounds heavier, just swollen like a fucking balloon.
And what was your background? Fucking, you biked all across Orange County.
I would literally ride my bike like 80 miles a day. I used to, ride from San Francisco to Long Beach. I used to do crazy bike races, fucking triathlons, all that shit. And I just was miserable and eating, like drinking, and just I was
45 pounds of gap. It's not even fat.
It was just fear.
It's just a gap between the Andy that you want to be and the Andy that is.
Yep.
It's just a fucking gap.
Now it's just part of my whole deal. It's part of my lifestyle. It's not even. It's one of my non-negotiables as we talk about. Like, that's it. It's not like an option anymore. I just stay healthy and I stay in power.
Yes.
The end.
Yes. Yes. Every morning.
Every fucking morning. Feels incredible. That's why I can come here at 8 o'clock at night. I tuck my kids in and sing them songs every night, no matter what. I chose to be here because I know how fucking important this is. So, like, I have the energy. I could talk to Sam for 5 fucking hours here because I did the work in the morning. I continue to do the work all day, and I stay in power.
And let's talk about your wife, man. How, like, we talked about you and everything. Let's talk about her and talk to me. What difference did you see in her, during the year and now after this fucking courageous move, you fucking shattering the frame of sedation and bullshit and a fucking bullshit story that was literally taking you away from this gift from God, your wife and your kids. And the voice came to you very clear. I don't know what the voice told you, but I can assume that it said something like this. Listen, motherfucker, I give you a fucking gift. This woman is a gift to you. Do you understand when I mean it's a gift? Something along those lines. Because that's what it was. So talk about this gift. Talk about your wife, how she was during that year, and how she is right now. Like, just her.
She started to basically pull away the same time I was. She was still willing to fight for the marriage, but at the same time, she was over my bullshit. She was over, me just fully retracting from our entire life and marriage and everything. And I put her through the ringer. I put her through sitting across from an attorney trying to figure out how we're going to chop up all of our stuff and assets and money and try to figure out how we're going to have a schedule for our children when she didn't want any of that. So, and I don't mean to laugh, but it's comical to think that, like, that's where I was in June. It was not that long ago. And now where we are as a couple is so different. And it's so different because it's real now. I did go all in. And thank God she did too. She could have said, fuck you. Fuck you and all your drama. But she also saw something in us that was big. And what the voice said to me as I'm sitting there with my hands on the sink, looking into my soul, into the mirror, in the bathroom, like, the voice was so clear. It was just like, we have so much more for you to do, but if you don't get your shit together, we can't give it to you. Your wife and your family are everything. Fix it. So I did. I took myself out of the equation for a second and kind of looked at it from above in what was really, really important. And it was a gift. And it was my own stories. It was my shit, not hers. I felt like I didn't deserve it. This beautiful life and family that I had created, I felt like I didn't deserve. and was fucking killing me inside. So going all in with her, all in, not like, oh, maybe 5 years. Fuck that. Like, we're in forever now, no matter what. The freedom that it created inside my mind, inside my body and soul to create as an entrepreneur, to create businesses. I've launched 3 companies since fucking Warrior. Like, just because I have the space now to do it. And now that I have a partner in crime that has my fucking back, I am unstoppable. It's impossible. It's a foregone conclusion.
So your story is very unique because not too many men that I know of inside of this brotherhood and outside in my network, but mainly inside of the brotherhood, not too many men have made the pivoting point. In fact, you're the only guy. There has been many cases where guys were about to get divorced. They came to Warrior Week and you know, they found what they needed and they went back, and marriages are great now. So they didn't get divorced. But we didn't have a case where a guy would come in and live for a year this way only to arrive at the point where I have to divorce, right? And then after then find the pivoting point and fight for this. Like a 2-year fucking process.
Fucking war.
I don't know where your life would have been without Warrior. Dude, I swear to God, I have no idea where that would have been.
Dead.
But one thing that I know that you've done is that inside of this 2 years, you've actually opened the door for so many other guys that are facing this dilemma, because a divorce is not an event, it's a process. You were preparing for that shit for a year, emotionally and logistically, financially, just name it, right? So it's a fucking year of a...
It was a drain every fucking day. It sucked. 90% of my fucking productivity was maneuvering my divorce and living in these secrets and in the shadows and like,
the lies.
The fucking lies, man, and hiding everything from my wife.
And then even if you spend time with Jackson, it was 10% of you because 90% of it was gone.
Wasn't even there.
And so your story is pretty unique because it in the midst of this conversation and in this room where we talk about the truth, it connected the dots with my childhood and what my dad did. And you know, once he decided that my mom was the most important piece of the puzzle, not what my uncle would say, and once he made that pivoting decision, as a result of it, I'm sitting here talking with you and we're doing what we're doing. And I mean, that all comes from that decision. And what I want you to feel is that, like, me sitting here is like Jackson sitting here in 30 years, man, because of your decision.
I feel it. Like, there's no way I couldn't not feel it sitting next to you. Like, it's incredible.
And it's when we talking about power and finding power, dude, you went through fucking pain to find this power that you have tonight here, which I can fucking definitely feel it. And it's transcending through these audios or videos, whatever you are, and watching and listening to this. Like, this shit is real. It's not fucking made up. I didn't pull the story of my parents out of my ass and connect it to, you know, what Andy has done here. It's just the inside of a real conversation. This is what showed up. And so above all, who you've become today is a man that operates from this place that we call the truth. You are a truthful man when it comes to your marriage, and that's why you have the power you have. You are a truthful dad. You don't hide shit from your kids. You are a truthful businessman. You don't hide fuck all from your clients. They see what it is, and they see all of Andy. They don't see just the pretty pictures of you next to a real estate agent or a house. Like, they see the real Andy. They see who they're going to do business with. It's me, my wife, my kids, and my life. And yes, I use the word fuck a lot.
A lot.
So inside of that, I'm not hiding who I am. I'm not. This is Andy in business. This is Andy in conversations of leadership. This is Andy in leading. Like, over, what do you have, 30,000 fucking followers right now on Instagram? Yeah. And dude, like, you had fucking zero when you, like, you didn't know what the fuck Instagram was.
I didn't have a fucking website fucking 2 years ago.
Nothing. You had no identity out there. You were a dude with some money sitting on a fucking couch somewhere in Long Beach on a sunny, breezy afternoon, chilling and calling me in a chilling mode. Mm-hmm. Like, you didn't even have a fucking voice.
I was so numbed out. I had zero passion left in me. Plus, I used to roll my sleeves down and get all suited up. I was hiding who I was. I would hide my tattoos. One of my biggest investors, a funny story, he said, "Oh, dude, there was this guy. He was running. He looked exactly like you, but he was covered in tattoos because I used to run from the office with my shirt off." And I go, "No, that was me." He goes, "Yeah, right." I started to roll up my sleeves and she goes, "Get the fuck out of here. That was you." But I would hide from my own self. I don't hide for fucking anybody anymore.
No, and that's the fruit, right? That's the fruit of masculinity, which is, hey, man, people say, be the man. Well, fuck yeah, be the man. And you know what's the formula of being the man? Not telling any fucking lies. You're the man where you're actually telling the truth in any circumstances.
24/7.
The fuck yous and the I love yous, they both need to come out. It's not always one side.
And they hold the same weight.
Yes, they do. Yes, they do. And they make changes into what matters for us. And what matters for you is your family, and ultimately what you shared here tonight and the example that you give to so many of men listening to this. And if you want to listen to more conversations similar to what we had with Andy tonight, you'll find us at warriorweeknow.com. You'll find a number of pictures and documents and other audios and videos about the podcast and the stories of men that came through the crucible known as Warrior Week. And if this conversation inside of tonight, inside of this space, has resonated with you and has made you change something, at least in your mind, and I encourage you to pass this forward to another man that may benefit from this conversation. And above and beyond that, if you feel that this is a calling towards you and you need to be here in this space with us, you go to warriorweek.com, you apply, and from there, your journey begins. In any case, thanks for being for us tonight, late at night. Andy, thanks for being tonight here. It's a very special night.
100%, brother.
And it's one night to fucking remember.
Always.
Take care.